Okay. Got it.
Welcome to the Taste of Grace podcast, a podcast where women aren't just acknowledged,
But to be truly heard and understood.
Taste of Grace is a space where you're never alone.
You belong here, and we're so excited to share this journey with you.
What's up, fam? Taste of Grace podcast. We're on a journey. What's up, fam? Welcome to another episode of Taste of Grace podcast. We are so happy to have you here. And man, we are excited for you to get into this episode. It's going to be so good. I'm Blanca. I have Dorka here. Dorka, tell us a little bit of our special guest today.
Today we have a very, very special guest, someone who has personally changed Blanca and I's life. So we are so excited for you guys to meet her. It is Constance Nelson, licensed clinical mental health counselor. There she is.
Woohoo! Welcome to our little
We're so happy
space.
you're here.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored. Thank you.
Okay, so you must know. So we need to give you your flowers. But before this podcast was even a thing, like Dorka and I dreamed together. We wrote some things that we wanted to accomplish, and the podcast was like coming to life. But since day one, which was however like a year and a half ago or so, your name has been on the top of the list.
It's like we have to have her there. Whatever we do, it doesn't matter. We're bringing
We don't
her
know how
in.
we're going to make this happen. She has so many clients. She's super busy, but it's a must because you have played such a crucial part in our life.
It's true.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to be here. I'm really honored to be a part of this for you guys, for sure.
Well, where do we even start? Like
There's too many things. There's too many directions we can go. I feel
even
like.
in like writing our notes, we were like,
Oof, this.
oh, so good. We were like, talk about this. And then she started talking. We're like, wait, the cameras
Save
aren't
it
on
for the
yet.
camera.
Oh my gosh. But when I think about my journey, whether it's been walking through divorce, dealing with a lot of anxiety, things that we've talked about already on the podcast, I think Constance was a godsend, which
Truly.
she is both of our therapists. For those of you that don't know, Dorka was such a true friend in giving me the plug. She was like, you know what? She's my therapist, but you need help.
I'm willing to share.
And our journey together has helped me so much. And I think when I try to narrow in what has been kind of the key component of what you brought to my life, it's this rewriting of our stories. I never understood how there's this constant narrative in my brain that is really kind of guiando, how do you say, driving a lot of my decision making.
Yeah.
It's been there since I was a little girl, so it's super strong in how it's telling me this narrative, and I've never given it much thought. I think I've just kind of been on autopilot, and I'm like, all these things are happening just because it's the truth and this is what it is and life is so hard. But you gave it the focus that it needed to say, hey, that's not truth. You have a belief system.
Yeah.
And we're going to start organizing kind of this stuff in your brain. So I think that should be the topic of where we go today, is how do we rewrite our stories? Where do we even begin? And hopefully helping people that are listening get some of those tools. You're welcome, because we paid the big money to get these tips.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, but it's a much needed investment. And I love Jesus with all my heart, but I think Jesus sent me Constance. So for those of you who question, how do you go to church and do therapy? They shouldn't coexist. They 100% should, because God has placed this gift in certain people to be able to really dive into how to connect you with him, but also rearrange certain thoughts and belief systems that you have built over time.
It's true. I think that's one of the things that I feel like changed me the most. And when I first heard about Constance, I saw I heard through her or about her through a friend, and I have never seen this friend change like her perspective or the way that she was making decisions until she started going to Constance. And I'm like, whoever you are going to, I need to see her. And it was such a crucial time for me to like see someone, and anxiety at that time was just kind of like taking over my life. And what I loved the most when I met Constance was that she had like solid tools and like things that I could actually implement in order to take those steps and like create change and make different choices in my life. And I feel like that's, you could have someone listen to you and you can express yourself all day long and people can tell you like, oh, this is how you resolve it. But unless there's like tools, like I feel like you really equipped us with things and ways to change our perspective and go about it so differently that I feel like every time I would leave a session, I'd be like, my mind is blown. I didn't even know my brain worked that way. It's like you're living in your body and with your brain, and you don't even realize really how it works and how it tends to control your decision making and your choices. And unless you identify those things, you don't even know what's happening to you.
Yeah.
Is this something that you see often? Like, is this like a common issue? Like sometimes I feel like I'm just alone in this and this is the way my brain works. But then I'm like, I felt like you just nailed it on the head as soon as I walked in there.
Everyone has the same constructs. The stories are different, thank God, because I'd be bored. So, the stories everybody brings me, the narratives. But I feel like I'm a little like a treasure hunter. Like I'm looking for the map. I'm looking for the core. And most therapists are talk therapists. I mean, it's kind of dying out. The talk therapy model is dying out, where you can come and you can chat and your therapist mirrors back what they hear you saying. And then you can say, okay, that makes sense. And you leave and you feel better. But there were no tools or nothing that you could actually hold on to. So I kind of pride myself on making sure that you're organized when you leave my room and you have tools to take with you to bridge into your life. I think that's really important for value.
That part. That part. I'm not going to lie. I came into your offices wanting you to make me feel better. And all you did was challenge me. I was like, I wasn't ready for this, but that's what's made the most difference. Like I needed tough love. I needed someone to say, and that's, I get it. You're affirmed in that. Okay. But what are you going to do about that? Because,
instead of commiserating.
Yes.
Right.
Like these are things that, these are the things that you do have control over. So what are we going to do about those things rather than victimizing, placing blame, feeling just better because I got to throw up on you? Like,
you can do that for free. Like you and Dorka can go to a coffee shop and you can do it for free, right? But if you're going to pay me for value, I don't want to be your best friend. I want to be someone that challenges your beliefs.
Yes.
Because you really can. You can get your friend. And I tell people that on the phone when they call me. Like, what are you looking for? Because I'm not like every other therapist. I am different. And I know that. I'm like, I just want to live what I'm not. I'm not going to come in and validate your BS, your belief systems. I'm going to challenge them. And it's really important because if you don't do that, you're not going to live the life you want to live because people are just validating you. Yeah. How is it you're feeling better, but nothing's changing. And nothing changes if nothing changes.
So where do we start in the rewriting of our story?
Noting that your story is a construct and it's not real. That's really important to know. Thoughts and feelings are not real. They're thoughts and feelings. They're subjective. They're not objective. And we want to make sure we validate those, but they're not real, which means we can change them. The brain captures images in a way that comes through beliefs. So I can look at something and you can look at something. We can both feel very differently about the same object based on our beliefs. So if I can change that belief about an object or people, place, or thing, I can change myself. Because I don't have the power to change anything else. I can't change people, places, or things. That's powerless. When I think this person did this to me, and I'm not saying people don't do things that are wrong, because they do. And I say that often. It makes sense that you feel this way. This person said this. I get it. They shouldn't have said it. But what are we going to do about how you're feeling? Because you can't change them, but you can change you. Right?
That was my, I have that here.
Is that,
Is
it the bubble?
Yeah, not my bubble. I said, not my bubble. Constance would always tell me, not my bubble, not my BS. Like, not my stuff, not my problem. And you would give so many countless examples of like getting in a car crash and how someone can respond to that, but how you can choose to respond and like what you're responsible for. But I I think you probably didn't even know this, but one of my most challenging kind of like moments with you was when I wanted the validation, and you would tell me like, no one should make you feel anything.
Yeah.
Like, and I kept saying, no, but you don't understand, like this person doesn't make me feel safe, or I didn't feel loved by these actions. And like I was looking for you to say, yeah, because that's not right. They shouldn't do that. And you have all the right to like feel this way. But you would look at me and say, Blanca, I want to get you to a point where no one has the power to make you feel or not feel anything.
Yeah,
you want to feel
Mm-hmm.
loved, like
Mm-hmm.
connect with the Lord. You have the answers within you. Like take pause, pray, and proceed.
Yeah.
And then say, I don't need this person to make me feel safe. I don't need this person to make me feel loved. And it's not to say that we're like selfish people. Oh, I don't need anyone. I can do it on my own. But it's like learning this not my bubble, not my BS principle of everything you need, you lack nothing. Everything you need, you can find within yourself, and come to relationships.
Yeah.
Like from a more whole.
Well, you're whole and complete. I mean, the Lord makes us that way, right? We're whole and complete as we are. It's great if we have icing on our cookies. I could talk about that. Like, I'm a whole complete cookie. But if you're part of my ingredients and then you leave, or you make a comment or do something that is not okay, well, then you're hitting my little cookie, right? And it's like, we don't need to do this. We can be whole and complete. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't say things. Again, you shouldn't be in an abusive situation. That's not okay. I mean, there are boundaries when it comes to what you're tolerating in your relationship. But your feels are yours. And life can happen for you or to you. That's a choice.
We live by that.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Nice motto.
We use
That's
that
some
all the time.
power.
Life is happening for you, not to you. And I feel like the bubble was such like an impactful lesson for me as well, because I do struggle a little bit in my personality to be a little bit controlling. Like I'm very type A. I like for things to be a certain way, and the lack of control sometimes makes me feel like out of control, and like a little bit in distress. And you really helped me understand that if there's control externally, like if something externally can easily control your emotions all the time, then it's not coming from within. Like you can only control what's in your bubble. If it's not in your control, then you just got to let it go or handle it however it comes. But that's really helped me kind of notice when I'm struggling with a little bit of that, like wanting for things to go great or in a certain way. And it made me so aware that for so long I was letting external things that are out of my control like my emotions. It would ruin my day, or it would stress me out.
It's powerless.
Exactly. You feel so
It's
powerless.
powerless.
Yeah. Precisely.
Then you're just a victim of the world.
Yeah.
The world can do whatever it wants and say whatever it wants, and you are that. And this is something that I think people get confused about. Personality is learned. And I think people go, oh, this is who I am. And I'm like, no. Well, I'm an extrovert. I'm like, do you want to be an extrovert? I'm an introvert. Do you want to be an introvert? Because these are things we learn. We weren't born extrovert or introverts, but somehow we get this as an identity.
Yes.
And it's like concrete, and it's not. You can change that based on your beliefs, based on your narratives. Oh yeah, you can change that anytime you want to. Yeah. And that's power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's powerful.
So what does that
The power
mean? Like
to choose.
The power to choose.
Break down when you say life is happening for you, not to you. What does that even mean for someone that didn't like get to have the insight that you continue to feed us on each visit? Like that would be a key thing that you would always leave with us and part with us. This idea of like, I'm worthy because I'm his. Life is happening for me. Everything like express a little more of like what that means
through the lens of Christ. So people. Absolutely. When I came to Christ as well, they have this Christ lens. Like, my life is different now that I have Christ. And I'm like, Kinda. It is, because I'm a true believer. But it is the RAS. It's the reticular activating system. And if you change your lens, what you see will change. So if your lens is green, you're going to see the world as green. If your lens is blue, you will see the lens as blue. So it depends on your lens. So if you want to walk in Christ and see Christ everywhere, you will. You'll see it. And you'll be like, oh, because I did. I'm like, because you changed your lens. But if you see the devil everywhere or evil everywhere, that is exactly what you'll see. Because that's where your brain is going. Where attention goes, focus flows. And that's just science.
So
That's
right?
so good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, I think when you start looking at life as enjoying the journey, not the destination. These are cliches you hear, but it really is the truth. Like, the more you focus on, I need to be here to be successful. I need to arrive here to have wholeness. I need to be here to be worthy. It's like, actually, no, everything is a lesson that God is teaching me. When life is happening for me, when I start looking through that lens, I'm like, okay, that didn't work, but man, I grew from that. Man, this is what I've learned. This was my biggest challenge. I hate confrontation. I hate having to put myself in places where I have to speak up for myself, but that seems to be the thing that I continually have to learn. And it's like, but life is happening for me because it's making me better at these areas, rather than saying like, why does this always happen to me? Why did why do I always have to put myself in uncomfortable situations because no one wants to speak up for me? Like, I can choose to see it from that lens.
And your brain's going to answer you when you go, why does this happen to me? Well, let me tell you why. This is why. And remember yesterday? Remember when you were 8? You're like,
remember
what?
2 years ago?
Yeah, remember 2 years ago when you failed that test or whatever? Like, the brain is going to give you exactly what you tell it.
It pulls out the file.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Nicely done. And success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. If that was true, and I use this all the time, if that was true, then people in Hollywood wouldn't have drug addicted kids. They would never get divorced because they have everything according to the norms, yet they still have problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. We have to celebrate our successes and see it all the time through our lens. See Christ happening all the time. It doesn't mean we're going to disregard our feels, right? When we have a feel and we feel hurt, we feel sad, that's important. I don't want to jump into positive toxicity. You know those people. Yeah. They're just like, I'm so positive. And you're like, wow, they're not, but they're trying. And you can see like the angstiness behind their words because they haven't processed their emotions. That's important too, to honor what's ever coming through you, giving it time to process, giving it time to simmer, and then make another choice.
Yeah, I love that when my brain would hijack, like, I would always feel that I was out of choices. I would always feel like I was cornered. Like when something would happen, my brain would just take over, and I thought that, you feel like you're drowning. There's no way out. And I love that you really kind of drilled that into like our heads, that there's always choices. And once you allow yourself to understand and you remember, wait, I feel cornered, but there's always a choice. Suddenly there's so much space. It's no longer a corner.
Yeah. Even if it's a poop emoji choice.
Yeah.
They give you poop emoji. It doesn't matter.
A choice is a choice.
Yeah, because victims don't have choices, right?
Correct. And I feel like that helps me get out of this victim mindset where, it does make you feel like a victim. Well, I have no choice or whatever, but you always have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
It's the best one.
Yeah, you can take your purse. You can go to Hawaii today, right now. It may not be a good choice, but it's a choice, right?
Out of options,
right? Just you have to loosen up, because what happens when you give yourself no choices, the brain will hijack, and it's a chemical burn of the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the frontal cortex. Like, it is literally a chemical burn, and the brain will tell you you're stuck and you're not, and then anxiety goes up. And then all the blood goes into your extremities, because now you're in fight, flight, freeze. You can't think there. You can't protect and learn at the same time. So you have to get off that cliff and give yourself as many choices as you can. Even if they're not good choices, that's okay.
Right.
That just reminded me of something you do at every session. When we're going into a conversation, you always ask me where I'm at on a scale of 1 to 10.
0 to 10.
0 to 10. 1 being the most.
0, no distress, 10 being the most.
Yeah. Why is that important to ask before we were going into like a deep conversation?
Because you can't protect and learn at the same time. So it's a waste of your time if I'm trying to put information, because in the beginning I would talk to people and I would do my best work and we're on the board and I'm feeling it and it's happening, and I'll look at my client, I'm like, wow, what are you learning? And they're like, I have no idea. And I'm like, oh God, where are you? 0 to 10, where are you? I'm at an 8. I'm like, well, you can't hear me. It's like you're dangling from a cliff and I'm yelling at you. Right? You're like, get me off the cliff. And I'm like,
a good visual.
Right?
I
But don't you see the water and the flowers? You're like, no, I'm dangling. All you see is the cliff. Your vision narrows at that time. So to get you off the cliff and open that peripheral so you have more choices, you have to lower your anxiety. And the way to do that is to get that number down to that 1, 2, or 0 with ice or breathing. Breathing is everything. You can have a panic attack on the couch, right? Or a panic attack dangling from a cliff.
Yes.
And the brain only knows the breath. That's all it knows.
It's so funny
Sure.
because our first lesson our first session, I will never forget that basically you just taught me how to breathe. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, you
But
were like,
it truly changed my life.
Pass out.
Yeah, it truly changed my life because when my body felt like it was out of control and it was having anxiety and experiencing all these heightened emotions, even just that little lesson of, hey, here's how you can calm this down. If you just focus on your breathing, if you know what to do, again, the tools,
Mhm.
you'll see a difference. Your body will start to relax. You'll start to hear, you become more present. And that was just the first time I saw you. And immediately, I'm pretty sure like shortly after, I stopped dealing with anxiety in the way that I was.
Mhm.
Like it almost was completely gone, just because these are little things about your body that you don't even realize that are happening until someone's like, hey, this is how your body works. And if you just even learn to breathe, which seems,
The
like,
mechanics.
yeah,
Mhm.
it really does make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
So where are you guys on a 0 to 10 right now?
Like a 1.
Wow.
Because I need coffee. So
I need
I'd be in a 0 if I had
Well, you should do it all the
Okay.
time too. Incorporate it. You know, people go, I can't wait to have a panic attack so I can have these tools. And I'm like, oh,
wow.
God,
What?
don't do that.
That's not what I-
Like, do it all the time. Am I going to run a race and the day before work out? Like, no, I'm going to work out all the time. Like all the time,
Yes.
be mindful as you're driving down the road. And you girls know this. I do this too. Like everything I teach in that room, I do. And I think that's different too. I live and preach and I do exactly what I tell you guys. And I'll be in the room and I'm like, I'm not even doing that. And I'll hold myself accountable.
That's good.
Right? Am I being
Constance.
mindful? Am I breathing? Am I in the moment? Right? Am I being hijacked right now? What's happening to my body? It's a minute-to-minute reprieve. You don't have to wait until you're so jacked up you can't see straight. You can then, and then put your face in a really big bowl of ice and get it down immediately. But don't follow the thoughts. The thoughts will not bring your anxiety down. The regulation will. You got to regulate yourself down. You can't think your way out of a panic attack. You can't.
That's
So
so
you-
good.
You cannot.
So you would always
Makes it
say,
worse.
So don't make a decision. You should not be making life decisions. You should not be making any type of decision if you're above a 2.
Nope. And if you do, you can. If you're above a 5, I say usually give it like a 4 or 5. I'll say, look, you can, but you're always going to look back at that decision. You're not going to be sure if that was the decision because you were too high to have any peace about it. But if something comes back from the decision, you were at a 2 or a 3, you'd be like, wait a minute. I remember making that decision. I was at peace. I was calm. I prayed, paused, proceeded, and I was good. Okay, I'm going to hold firm. But if I was an 8, it's tricky, even if it's the same choice.
You can't
You
feel
could barely-
firm in it.
Firm in it, yeah.
No, that makes
Mhm.
so much sense because even if, like, think about the things that you say when you're, like, full of anxiety or super stressed. Can't even control that, let alone make
We always have
a
to be like,
great
"Oh,
life decision.
Sorry for what I said when I was
Like, remember when I
super-
said that? I was stressed. Sorry.
I was above a 5.
Yes.
It's a
We
hijack.
had- I'm thinking of Puerto Rico, and I was like, "So are you gonna sit with me on the plane?" Like it was like a so basic conversation, but I was just super stressed about having to save her seat that my mind just spiraled, and then I had to go back and be like, "Yeah, that was unnecessary. I'm super sorry."
I was like, you don't have to save me a seat. It's okay.
You have
I was like-
choices.
She was like, but I will want to save you a seat now. I'm just going to be so
People are gonna
stressed.
ask me who's sitting there, and I'm not supposed to say that's I'm breaking the rules. It was a lot. You know what else gets me really stressed?
It was a lot.
You know what else gets me really stressed?
What?
When I'm hungry. And I think this is a perfect time
to bring out the
to
food.
segue into our sponsor. I feel like such a
No, we really should though.
salesperson.
I'm awesome.
Okay, yes. This is a time, as you know, Taste of Grace is called Taste of Grace for a reason. We're all about giving ourselves a little grace and talking about honest, raw conversations, but we feel the best conversations happen around the table when we're eating. As Latinas, that's a part of who we are. Like, you don't show up to anyone's house and not have some sort of meal or coffee or snack. Like, it's our way of feeling comfort and loved. So we wanted to give you that experience as our guest. And it's so lovely to eat on camera. It's so great to like shove our face with food while we're trying to talk and have deep conversations. But we're going to do that now. So thanks to our wonderful friends at Purple Ocean, we get to have some food around our conversation and our table.
I think because I know you girls, so
Okay,
I just jump in. I don't feel like I'm being rude.
My
That's fun.
Okay. So this is Spanish cuisine. So what do we have here? Because I feel like Constance, these are things that are familiar to us, but
I know tostones.
Oh
yeah, for sure. Is that yuca? Is that yuca?
That is actually sorullos, which is
okay.
cornmeal.
Oh, got it.
So fried cornmeal, and we usually have those. This is mayo ketchup.
That's our signature sauce.
It's mayonnaise and ketchup mix.
Oh, yes. I'm familiar.
And then that's a cilantro, like garlic sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Very good.
And then
a burger. The burger has sweet plantains, from what I can see, and a toston in it. So it would be like sweet and savory.
Very fun.
Have you had any of this before?
Tostones.
Tostones. Okay. Wait, and this?
Alcapurria.
And plantones.
Alcapurria.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat.
Well, let's dig in.
Okay.
I'm going to move this out of my way a little bit just so I can grab. What would
So
you
just-
like? You want a toston or
I'll take the corn one, yeah.
the corn?
Which one?
I'm worried about my little microphone. I don't mess it
Do you want any sauce?
Oh, yeah.
Or you could dip it wherever you
up.
want.
This is like caring for me over here.
Of course.
That's what the
This
braces.
feels so nice.
Guys, I didn't eat breakfast just so that
She's a big breakfast person. I'm not, but
I was so hungry.
So good.
Right? It's like sweet.
She's like,
I wasn't hungry until now.
So
So what do you think? You like the cerullos?
so good. Yeah.
Yay. And the mayo ketchup?
So good. That I know.
Okay.
Because I worked at a hotel for about 17 years, and it was mainly Latino.
you have lived 70
I have.
lives.
I know. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Virginia Beach, Maryland when I was little, and then most of my growing up was in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're just getting dumped on with snow right now.
What?
Oh yeah, they're getting dumped on. And then it never snows like that either, so nobody knows how to handle it. They're getting, sand from the beach. It's a beach town.
Yeah.
So they're all very confused. But I love growing up there. It was a beautiful, wonderful place to grow up. 20 minutes from the beachfront. I basically spent all my summers on the beach. Go home now. It's my happy place. Even the people there, everyone is so friendly and welcoming and loving. And I think community is a really part of it. There's a friend up north. Florida doesn't have great seafood. I love Florida.
Sure.
So every time I go up there, I have two friends up there. One is my niece and one is one of my really good friends. And we go and we have seafood, and we have seafood.
You go.
Like, it's embarrassing.
Like what? Like oysters?
Oh, like the whole
crab
table's
legs?
covered. Oh yeah. Oysters, Oyster Rockefeller. We know exactly where to go. Shrimp, because they cook it right there.
Yeah.
Just, oh man, so good. The hush puppies.
Yeah.
Love hush puppies.
Good stuff. Yep. And every time I go up there.
like a hush puppy.
It is. The corns taste like hush puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the same
It
kind of cornmeal.
does.
And it's, it's community. Food, those kinds of things bring us into community. Probably the most amazing conversations come over the warmth of having community and over a warm meal. So it is important, and community is so important to heal. If you don't have a community and people to go to, you're probably not going to do very well in your life, in your mental health, especially people that are honest with you, that can mirror back to you what's going on in you, right? You want them to validate you. You want them to hear you. That's very important. But you also want to make sure that they're honest with you and be like, look, this is doesn't sound like this is okay, or I don't know what to do about it. We don't have to coach our friends and tell them what to do. But when they're off or they're just not quite where they need to be in their narratives or the way they're seeing things, I think it is important for us as friends to go, I think you're a little off there. I don't want to coach you or tell you what to do, but it just sounds a little off. I think it's important that we have community that are super, super honest with us and people we can pray with. I have a friend that I can call in the mornings and like, hey, I'm really struggling. I don't have to tell her what's going on. Just can you just pray with me?
Yeah.
And we'll just create that space to pray,
It really is so important. And I always wonder, I'm like, why is it our natural instinct to want to isolate when you're going through something really tough or you're dealing with depression or sadness or stress and you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
That's the narrative. The belief system goes, don't bother someone else with your problems.
Is it
or you're
shame?
going to could be,
burden.
Depends on your bubble, right? Depends on what belief system comes up. Yeah, am I a burden? Am I putting this on them? Which again, people choose or not choose to take on your burden. Right back to choices again. They can choose or not choose to feel a certain way when you share with them. That's up to them as well. So making sure
it's
that
all connected.
It's all connected.
It really, exactly.
The maps are all connected.
Because it's so true. Like when that was something that I was a victim to a lot, like was being like assuming what others were thinking, assuming what my conversation was bringing on other people, taking on the energy of the room, saying like, I think should I ask, are you okay? What's wrong? Like it feels like you're
filling in the blanks.
Yes.
The filling in the blank conversations. Like our brain will fill in the blanks based on what we believe, based on the personalities that we've learned. Remember?
That is so true.
Yep. Everything we've learned.
It's so true. We do that more than we want to admit, I feel like.
Yeah. 100%.
It's so natural to do that.
And then we lose our power. Because now we're not in the moment. We're not in our power, right? We're not in our own bodies. We're busy in someone else's. And that's a powerlessness. And now I'm trying to control what's happening around me instead of leaning on me and looking at what's going on in me.
Which is
powerful.
so backwards because in your mind, you think that you're being selfless and that in fixing, like I'm like, but I can fix it. I can help. If I can figure out what's going on, I can like be the loyal person that can come in and help them in their situation. But another example that you gave me, you're like, you think that that's selflessness, but it's actually selfishness because it's a form of survival for you.
Well, I want you to feel better so I can feel better. So it's not even about them. I want you to feel better so I can feel better. That's like a prisoner. Like I say that, like that's a prisoner. Someone that has to feel a certain way so you can feel better about yourself. That's a harsh reality for people sometimes in my room. I have to really give that gently. Because that's a tough one.
You have a great way of delivering.
I tried. Sometimes I get some kind of little passionate with the Lord and I have to like hold it back a little bit.
I love it. I learn on tough love. I thrive on tough love. I credit my brother for that. He was military and he would just tell me like it is. And I was like, and I feel like that's how I became kind of like wiser than I needed to be earlier on, because I'm like, sometimes that's how you have to express to people, like, this is actually what's happening. And I think it goes back to like having community and people around you that will lovingly still tell you, when you need to like pay attention to something or where you need to see it a different way or change your perspective. Because even in this like past year dealing with grieving, my instinct was to isolate, and it was so nice to like, I fought so hard against like, wanting to not have to be around people, feeling like a burden, putting my weight, like I'm gonna, be the depressed one in every room. I'm gonna dampen everyone's mood all the time. And thankfully, you reminded me like they have a choice to want to take that on or not, or help you through that or not. And but you can't think for them. And that was something that really got me through this past year, was just changing that perspective. And
you can schedule your grief. I talked to my clients about that too. I worked for hospice for a while and really understood the constructs around grief. And you can't kill it. And people are like, well, how long is this going to take me? I'm like, well, how long do you want it to take? Because, the more that you give yourself feels, and I've seen it done both ways. I've seen people in my life, one particular, both of them have high school sweethearts, and both of their high school sweethearts died. Like they've known each other forever. They got married to this high school sweetheart, and they passed. And my one friend that happened to, he was able to really talk about it. And he would go, hey, I want to talk about her right now. We're like, okay. And we would sit and he would talk about her and he would cry. And then we'd move on. And we'd go, it doesn't matter where we were, right? It doesn't matter where we were.
Sweet.
And he is in a relationship and he is happy. And he met someone who also lost their high school sweetheart. He adopted their children. It's just so beautiful. And someone else in my life didn't do that. So they ignored and still ignored, and, didn't deal with it and really didn't embrace it. One bad relationship after another, and just still hasn't really gotten to a place that have really embraced that grief because it hasn't been processed. So if you go through grief and you schedule it like every day at 8 o'clock for 30 minutes, I'm going to grieve, the brain will listen to you. So some of my clients that can take time off and take that leave of absence, or I will sign that, whatever I got to do to get that for them. They will go through it a little bit quicker because they're giving themselves permission anytime during the day to feel that feels. But if you're working and you have to be a part of society and be able to be into the world, you can schedule your grief and say, I'm going to 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, both. I'm going to come for 30 minutes, feel my feels. Then I'm going to choose to move on. But you're giving your space of grace.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Whatever you were thinking, I was like, she's thinking that space of grace to be able to have your feels.
So
and honoring
good.
yourself.
That's
yeah.
so good.
So you can be, when I'm trying to organization is really important in my room, that we organize our brainstem and see what is where. Because we do need logic to a certain degree, but we do also need to frame it in emotion. So both of them are important. If logic worked, I would give you pamphlets and I would see you every couple of months. You would read the pamphlet. This makes sense. It's logical. Okay, for sure. I'm going to do this. But it doesn't work that way. Or I would just be an author. I would just write books. You need the emotional component. So the autonomic system is in the frontal cortex. It's right here. And we live in it. It's every day, all day. We have to survive to live. The brain does not care if you're happy. The brain doesn't care about that. It just cares about food, clothing, water, shelter. It doesn't care about anything else. So you have to program happiness every day. And that is the parasympathetic. I call her Tinkerbell. So she's tiny, right?
Tinkerbell and
so,
Hulk.
Right? And Hulk, the Hulk, but if we live in the Hulk, we're miserable because food, clothing, water, shelter. But then we go into the living brain, which is the parasympathetic, which is like behind the autonomic. She's tiny. So you have to program happiness every day. So people are like, oh, I'm just not happy. I'm like, well, what are your thoughts? Well, I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen. Let me tell you, let me just help you understand what's going wrong. And I'm like, I want to hear you and I want to process this with you. But if you stay in that construct, you will stay miserable because the brain has nothing else to feed on, right? So you have to feed the brain every day into the living brain, which is a choice. It is imagery as well. Seeing Christ around you, seeing Christ wrapped around you. Imagery breaks that surviving to the living brain and the belief system that sits between the two. Am I important enough, valuable enough to be happy? Right? Do I have that worthiness to be happy? That's a choice. And then we can program accordingly into our living brain. And we can visualize it because the brain does not know you're not there. It only knows what you tell it.
Well, that's the part that's so difficult, I think, just in
You mean
human
new?
nature.
You mean new?
That's the
It's not different.
It's not difficult.
Oh, she's doing stuff again.
It's not
Right?
hard. It's not difficult. It's just new.
Because your brain's going to go, this is what was hard. Yesterday, this was hard. Remember, the brain will find
Yes.
everything that's difficult and it will sabotage you.
Well, that's the new thing. That's
The gym is not difficult. The gym is not difficult.
It's new.
It's just
They're new
unknown
muscles.
territory.
It's a new routine. I'm learning and growing. Right?
Well, my current learning and growing, I think you just hit.
Mhm.
And it's like the belief system I'm choosing
Yes.
to like hold on to.
Mhm.
And it really stems down to, I think, my self-worthiness.
Yeah.
And so that's been something that we've
Mhm.
worked on. Like I remember leaving every session and being like, I'm safe, I'm loved, and I'm worthy because I'm his. Like I had to continue to repeat those words. But when I'm triggered, so this literally just happened yesterday, I'll see something and that thing will trigger me into my old story and tell me it in some form confirms the story that I was telling myself. Like, oh, look, you weren't chosen. oh, you didn't get, let's say, to not get specific in case, you guys know my life.
So your brain hijacks you.
My brain hijacks me and
Hijacks
says,
you and goes into the surviving brain.
you're not enough.
You're not enough. Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy because immediately, like, I felt a shift in my energy.
Mm-hmm,
I felt
mm-hmm.
a shift in how I felt about myself. And even more so, which I feel like is the kindness of God, I saw my son. Because London, my son, has this same struggle of he loses his soccer game and we get in the car and he cries and he says, I'm just not good. I'm just not good enough. And I'm like, in those moments, I'm like, no, London, like trying to be the fixer, trying not to.
And you're learning what? What would you do differently?
I would not try to be his coach.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'd
It
be
makes
like,
sense.
Ask questions.
Ask questions. How are you feeling?
How does that, what are some things we can maybe try next
Because we want
time?
him to feel better so you can feel better.
Exactly.
Nicely done. Nice catch. Nice awareness.
Oh, yeah.
There you
For
go.
once.
There you go.
Well, nice awareness.
All good.
But in this moment, I was like, holy moly, like,
Yeah.
I can see him in myself. And I see that this is something that even I, as an adult, am struggling with, catching the hijack and having the tools to say, like, let's shift this. Okay, let's take a moment. Let's pause. Let's pray. Let's dig within.
Yeah.
So, like, knowing this situation that I'm like just walking through, how would you, I walk into your office, I'm like, this is happening, Constance. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel good enough. I feel like I wasn't chosen for this. And
where are you 0 to 10?
I'm at 11.
Then you get a bag of ice, right? We get a bag of ice. We breathe. We come into the moment. What do you hear me saying? What do you touch the couch? What are you noticing about the couch? What are the colors on the wall? The 5 senses. What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you hearing? Right? Coming back, and the number goes down. So when the number goes from a 12 to an 8, well, nothing's changed. The situation did not change. The narrative did not change. No one around you changed. You went from a 12 to an 8. That's power. Nothing's changed.
But why is it that when we get grounded into the present, that number goes down?
Because we're in the moment. The brain can only solve the moment. The brain can't solve the future or the past. So what they say, anxiety is ruminating about the future, and then depression is ruminating about the past. Unless you have a time machine, there's really nothing. There's nothing you can do. Yeah, I've thought about it long and hard. If there's a time machine, and you could go back and redo it, right? And that's the only time that construct works. But we can't. We can only learn and grow from it. So we have to be, you have to be able to switch it over to the moment. Once you get into the moment, the brain can only solve the moment. Then you get to change your lens.
That's so true. I never thought about, like, the
It's super
only
simple
way
if
you
you think
got
about
through
it.
it was because you thought about it differently.
Yes.
You started viewing it in a different way.
We
that
reframed
allowed
it.
you to move on.
You reframed it. Constantly reframing. So people say this, and I'm like, they think, oh, that's my childhood. That's already happened. I'm like, cute. No, your childhood never leaves you. The belief systems don't go anywhere. And these are the seeds that were born inside of you that you had no construct there to hold on to. Like, there was no discernment as a child to go, that's not right. That's not right. You can't do that. So it comes into your psyche. Now, when you start to work through it, you'll see it, but you're not reactive to it as much. You're like, I just got hijacked. Now you have awareness, which equals choices, which equals change, right? Change is last, right?
Yes.
Does that make sense? So what are you learning?
Oh my gosh.
She stops me with that one every time. I'm like, I know.
What are you learning? What are your thoughts?
learning?
And I do that on purpose.
like,
Do you know why I do that?
Why?
To make sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Because if you go, oh God, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, what number are you? Right? At an 8. Okay, let's get you down lower, get you in the moment. Now tell me what you're learning. And then you're able to, and that's power. I don't want to tell you what you're learning. Then you're dependent on me.
Yeah.
I want you to depend on your inner core, on that God within you.
Yeah.
Right? That's important.
It's
Does that make
so
sense?
important. That's how you leave the office and you're able to make decisions. You leave that room with Constance, or your therapist, and you're able to then make decisions in real life that reflect what you learned in that room because you weren't leaning on someone to tell you what to do, but you were getting the tools to know what to do when that situation comes again. Or even more so before that situation even comes.
Right.
Prepping.
Yeah.
Like, how are you ready?
Being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
Getting into that moment.
So Constance, this has all been so incredible. I feel like I
So good.
never stop learning. Every time you speak, I'm just like, oh, that makes so much sense. Can you leave our audience with like a nugget or something that they can take with them and think about? Or
Yeah, well, I want to again thank you, ladies, for having me here. It's
We
always
love
beautiful
you.
to be able to spread the word, and it's so beautiful to see you both here. I think life happens for you, not to you. And if we can hold on to that everything in life is happening for us, it will change everything. And not that you're going to go through tough times, because we will. But if you can come through that tough time knowing that life is happening for you and God has gifts for you in those lessons, I think that would give you a lot of faith and grace to be able to keep stepping.
that's so true.
I love
Mic
that.
drop.
Mic drop.
I mean, done. Like I just could walk
That's
out
it.
right here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us here at Taste of Grace. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and continue to follow us in this journey. Find us on Instagram, social media at Taste of Grace Podcast. And even we've already talked, like we want Constance to come back on season 2. So if you have questions, if you're like, hey,
What are
she
you wanting
touched
to
on this,
dive?
I need more. Like hit us with your questions, your thoughts, so that we can give you the content that you're looking for. And just remember, continue to show yourself just a little bit of grace each and every day.